As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology Meerut, deemed to be university, wishes its New Year greetings to all the participants both in India and abroad for this international webinar series on open source digital technology towards self-reliant India. Its centers of excellence, Center for Informatics, Development Solutions and Applications, and Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Application. Welcome our guest speakers of today's webinar, Lalit Gupta, co-founder and Vice President of India and ASEAN, Emeritus.io, world's first intelligent micro-education system on demand, and former Vice President of Asia Pacific and Japan, Oracle Corporation. On behalf of the Chancellor, Honorable Chancellor of Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, faculty members of the university, and my behalf, and also as a Professor Emeritus of the centers of these two centers of excellence, welcome the participants from India and abroad attending this webinar. Today, 2nd January 2021. Under this international webinar series, these two centers of excellence have organized 16 lectures so far, namely, Open Technologies to Provision, Simple and Economical IT Infrastructure, a roadmap for students using free and open source software and reaching goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Open source software and industrial IoTs for SMEs. Free and open source software adoption or business models. Open data platform for smart digital government. Technology imperatives. Make in India for self-reliance. Edge artificial intelligence. Data governance for self-reliant India. Digital India transforming governance and society. India's email service, citizen@indiamail.com, in 22 constitutionally recognized languages. Ecosystem architecture for digital transformation. Education system cyber critical infrastructure. Seizing opportunities in open innovation and value creation network in the digital world for self-reliant economy, ensuring food safety and compliance through technology. Digital India, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing in India. And lastly, technology investment in agriculture value chain, role of foreign direct investments in India. Today is the 17th edition of this very important webinar series. Today we will have the talk by the co-founder of the world's first intelligent micro-education system on demand by Mr. Lalit Gupta, an NRI based in Malaysia, on the topic Entrepreneurship and Skill Development, AI Design Pathways. There are static pathways and dynamic pathways. Today in this webinar, you will have a the lectures on how to enhance entrepreneurship and skill development through AI, artificial intelligence design pathways. In this webinar, we have talked about in various topics, which included technology imperatives, technology investment, open technology, open system, open infrastructure, open source software for open infrastructure, open hardware for open infrastructure, open data platform, open banking, open finance, open insurance, open innovation, value creation networks, human resources development, startups in open technology applications, open society, industry 4.0, industry 5.0, edge computing, data governance, digital India, India email service, open digital ecosystems, cyber critical infrastructure, dark data, dark cloud, dark web, dark net, technology enabled food value chain, urgent need for semiconductor manufacturing to make digital India. Agriculture sector is the foundation of Indian economy. It employs more than 50% of the India's workforce and contributes about almost 17 to 18% of its GDP. At present, agricultural livelihoods are being severely impacted worldwide over the result of climate change. Climate smart agriculture is an approach for transforming and reorienting agricultural systems to support food security under the new realities of climate change. Widespread changes in rainfall, temperature patterns threaten agricultural production and increase the vulnerability of people dependent on agriculture for their livelihoods, which includes most of the world poor. Despite the potential of climate smart agriculture to attain sustainable agriculture, poor connections exist among the components of climate smart agriculture at the field level in order to attain a better future. It is crucial to disseminate climate smart agriculture approaches to field level by including them in academic syllabi, seminars, symposium, and research. Said by the Honorable Chancellor of the Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut. Many national level programs, Digital India 2015, Make in India 2015, Skill India 2015, Startup India 2015, Startup India 2015 have faced operational difficulties for its impact at farm level and farmer level, and that too at small and marginal farmers. ICT-enabled agriculture services, digitalization of agriculture and farm extension 4.0 were deliberated in the doubling farmers' income by 2022 report 2018 of Government of India. Volume 12B, Chapter 7, 8, 9, 10 talks about digital technology in agriculture. Volume 11 talks about empowering the farmers through extension and knowledge dissemination. Chapter 10 of Volume 12B of the Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022 suggests strategic use of digital technology in farming systems life cycle through 7 mission mode program. Digitalized agriculture means digital technology in innovation and agriculture. Digital India, Make in India, Skill India, Startup India program for transformational reforms in agriculture sector through smart irrigated farming, smart rainfed farming, and smart tribal farming. Digitalized agromet advisories and agricultural risk management system. Digitalized agricultural resources information system and micro level planning for achieving smart village and smart farming. Digitalized value chain for about 400 agriculture commodities. Digitalized access to inputs, technology, knowledge, skill, agriculture finance, credit, marketing, and agribusiness management of farmers. Digitalized integrated land and water management system, per crop, more crop. Integrated farm health management for reduction of farm losses. Atmanirbhar Bharat, the road ahead. It is Atmanirbhar Bharat is the Prime Minister Honorable Shri Modi's 5 eyes to make India self-reliant economy. It is a vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, which is rested on 5 eyes: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation, and based on 5 pillars: economy, infrastructure, one that represents modern India; system, 21st century technology driven; vibrant demography, source of energy for self-reliant India; and demand, whereby the strength of our demand and supply chain should be utilized to full capacity. Vocal for local to make it global, a demand-based economy system which is self-producing and self-consuming. The reforms announced have been systematic, planned, integrated, interconnected, and futuristic for creating strong enterprises, generating employment, and robust supply chain. This is our intent. Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture gets about 1.5 lakh crore booster. Digital disruption in agriculture sector needs large-scale workforce and capacity development. According to the FAO, International Telecommunication Union's E-Agriculture Strategy Guide, technology investment is a necessity for India. Technology is the sum of techniques, skills, methods, and processes used in the production of goods or services in the accomplishment of objectives such as scientific investigation. Technology is an exacting space that includes trends from artificial intelligence to smartphones, blockchain, self-driving technologies, software as a service, Internet of Things, streaming media services, and more. An area full of opportunity, but also with a risk. Technology changes quickly, and one-time leaders can quickly fall behind or even go out of business. Evolution of technology has certainly grabbed the interest of the general public and investors alike, as technology innovation continues to move forward at a remarkable speed. On 5th December 2020, Dr. Jebamale Vinanchi Arachi, former principal advisor to the Director General UNIDO, Vienna, addressed the webinar series on the topic Seizing Opportunities in Open Innovation and Value Creation Network in the Digital World for Self-Reliant Economy. On 12th December 2020, Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, professor at Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, New Delhi, addressed the topic Ensuring Food Safety and Compliance Through Technology. In this webinar, it was moderated that the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan in agriculture should include digital infrastructure, means predictive analytics, automated labeling, wearable technology, blockchain-based traceability, AI-based analysis, IoT-based sensors, and chemical analysis on the site, which needs large-scale capacity building, competence building among the workforce employed in this sector. Smart farming is an emerging concept that refers to managing farms using technologies like precision farming equipment, IoT, AI, big data analytics, unmanned aerial vehicle, robotics, and etc. to increase the quantity and quality of products while optimizing the human labor required by production. Digital world, it is a rise of platform economy. And digital platform economy is emerging. Digital ecosystems are essential for digital transformation in the digital world. Digital education platform, which is now moving towards digital micro education platform. For entrepreneurship and skill development, both in educational system and in industry sector. There are a lot of pathways, static, dynamic. Now, today, the webinar series will introduce AI design pathways. We have a lot of challenges in higher education. Fourth industrial revolution is expected to disrupt more than 1 billion jobs globally. Majority of the companies in operation today will require massive reskilling and upskilling of their workforce to remain competitive. In order to stay relevant and sustainable, institutions will need to adjust their course design, curricula, and degree programs to meet labor's needs as well as the demands of new industries and evolving workforce. Demand for lifelong learning and skills renewal will continue to increase rapidly. In addition, people's behaviors are also changing in terms of how and when they want to learn. Industries will seek to partner with organizations and institutions outside of their traditional higher educational institutes for skill development and workforce readiness. National New Education Policy 2020 has outlined radical changes with the objective to transform Indian education to make it more flexible, relevant, and responsive to the changing needs and demands of the learner. Long-standing institutions will need to reform or risk becoming irrelevant. According to some estimates, 40% of current degrees will be obsolete in the next 5 years. Institutions must rethink their degree pathways to accommodate a changing student demographic, employment landscape, changing technology capabilities, and changing industry requirements. COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated such changes and the need for transformation of the current system of education, which is not fit for future purpose. The World Economic Forum predicts that at least 133 million new jobs will be generated globally by 2022 as a result of the new division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms. How to address the above? Lifelong learning is a paradigm that is relevant like never before. Industry-led content, micro-certification, education blocks basis is the base for evolving needs of the employers. Structured systems to keep record of learners' existing skills, knowledge, preferences, and tools to figure out their learning needs through use of AI-based algorithms. Digital learning platforms is delivering learning experiences that enable students to actively engage with educational content. Digital learning and training industry continues to intensify its scope with the new domains and innovative apps launching every day. Micro-education, micro-learning approach, an emergent paradigm. Micro-learning is a holistic approach for skill-based learning and education which deals with relatively small learning units, and it involves short-term focused strategies, especially designed for skill-based understanding and learning education. Micro-learning platforms are becoming corporate learning solutions applied by HR and learning development departments. The technique is capable enough to address challenges associated with slow learners. This learning technique is versatile, not only for skill-based education, but also for sustainable economic development. The university has also initiated a national webinar series on skill enhancement on 15th December 2020 and had its first webinar on the topic Secrets for Building Successful Startups in association with its industry partner Matrix. Earlier to this, the university had 2 more webinars relevant to the webinar series brand avatars COVID-19 era, and leadership and management in new normal. With this introduction, now let us now turn to the address on entrepreneurs and skill development, AI design pathways by Lalit Gupta, our guest speakers today, who who is the co-founder of IDES. IDES provides institutions with a platform for the future, fundamentally providing them with a mechanism to remain relevant, create local and global employer partnerships, and meet the demands of a changing global landscape. It is claimed that IDES is the world's first intelligent micro-education system. This topic will motivate and galvanize the participants watching over telecast through facebook.com, so with University India, or youtube.com, so with University India, for motivating them to establish edtech startups to facilitate digital platform economy in the Indian agriculture sector by operationalizing 7 mission mode programs of the doubling farmers' income by 2022 for digitalization of Indian agriculture system. Let me introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Lalit Gupta, to the participants of this webinar. Mr. Lalit Gupta has over 30 years of extensive business leadership experience across countries in Asia Pacific and Japan. His experience covers overall profit and loss ownership, sales, marketing, finance and strategic planning, as well as driving large-scale business transformation. Lalit Gupta is a co-founder of IDES, world's first intelligent micro-education system on demand. IDES leverages new age technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, and live streaming, and is engineered to redefine and transform education to meet the requirements of industry revolution 4.0. Industry 4.0. Prior to that, Lalit was Vice President at Oracle Corporation, leading their public sector and education business for Asia Pacific and Japan. In his previous roles, Lalit Gupta was country managing director for Unisys Corporation and managing partner for Asia-wide consulting practices. In his spare time, Mr. Lalit Gupta is committed to physical and mental well-being and enjoys meditation, scuba diving, and golf. Mr. Lalit Gupta, we welcome you to address this international webinar series on open source digital technologies towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, on the topic entrepreneurship and skill development, AI design pathways. Over to Mr. Lalit Gupta.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Moni. And good morning again to everyone. I'm just wondering if everybody can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, and I'm also sharing my slide deck. Yes, okay, I can see it now. Okay, good morning, and thank you again. Thank you, Professor Moni, and thank you to Mr. Chancellor of Shobit University, Shekharji, and thank you for all of you to join me this morning for this session. In this session, we will be talking about, as Professor Moni said, education of the future. Now, we are all living in open source era, or some people call it Industrial Revolution 4.0, where everybody and everything is interconnected. Now, this uber connectivity and emerging technologies are obliterating traditional business models faster than ever before. According to one data, 40% of the Fortune 500 companies will not exist in the next 20 years. 48% of the jobs today will not exist in the next 10 years' time. Now, when we listen to these statistics, we nod our heads and we say, oh, I think that looks fine, but we feel that it is happening to somebody else. What I'm here to tell you is that this is happening here and now to all of us. There is a need for massive reskilling and upskilling of the workforce that needs to be undertaken in the next 5 to 10 years' time for India to stay competitive. And our current education system, we believe, is woefully inadequate. It is totally inadequate to address the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And that's why we are calling it that education is in crisis and it's not fit for future purpose. Now, this is how I have organized my session today. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the challenges. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know in terms of challenges to the current education system, but it is important to set the context for what the challenges to the education are. And it is not just about making education more personalized, more accessible, or more affordable. It is about addressing the needs of Industrial Revolution 4.0. It is about making India Atmanirbhar. It is about meeting the objectives of National Education Plan, as Professor Moni outlined earlier. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the future of education. How do you envision the future of education to be based on the technology capabilities that are available today? Based on what are the challenges that need to be addressed today? Future of education is not about applying technology to the current system of education. It is not about putting content online, which is what a lot of edtech companies today are doing. It is about transforming the education system and then utilizing the new age technologies like AI, blockchain, live streaming, etc., to create a personalized and rich learning experience, a dynamic learning experience for each learner like never before. And we'll talk about that. And lastly, I want to talk about EduS. This is what we're calling as our platform of the future. How EduS brings the education of the future live through utilization of these technologies. We are calling it the world's first intelligent microeducation system on demand. And we'll go into the details of what we mean by intelligent, what we mean by microeducation system, and how these two things complement each other. You cannot have an intelligent system until you break it down to microeducation elements, and we'll talk about that in a short while. Yeah. So let's talk about the challenges. Let me first share with you some of the data that is available publicly today. Now, as they say, data does not lie. So 400 million children are in school but not learning. 400 million children are in school but not learning. And this does not include children who don't go to school or who are not able to go to school. We're talking about children who go to school but are not learning. And I guess when I say this, most of us can relate to that. That is, when we go to school, are we really learning? The second is 617 million children are failing to meet the minimum levels in English and mathematics. Again, I'm sure it does not come as a surprise. I think all of us can relate to what we are talking about here. 573 million citizens will need upskilling and reskilling in the readiness for technology revolution or Industrial Revolution 4.0 that we're talking about. There's going to be a new division of labor across technology, across humans, and across computers. And we need to figure out what the new roles and responsibilities are going to be. One thing we can be sure of is that the job contents will change, the job requirements will change, the competency required will be changed. And there'll be massive need for reskilling and upskilling, and we'll talk about that in a short while. Finally, as Professor Moni mentioned earlier, 40% of the current degrees will be obsolete within the next 5 years. And as we talk more about it, we will see that we are getting into the age of micro-certifications and micro-accreditations. Micro-certifications and micro-credentialing, which are driven by employers or the industry. There's a wide gap between what the education system is producing and what the industry needs. Professor Moni also talked about how agriculture needs a lot more upgrading of skills in the form of agri-tech. And that is something that is going to be extrememely important when we talk about Atmanirbhar India or when we talk about NEP objectives. So let's break it down. In terms of challenges, let me first take you back to your school time. Now, do you remember when you were in school, there were subjects that you hated, there were subjects that you liked, there were teachers that you didn't like, there were teachers that you loved the most. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I were to ask you who your favorite teacher in school was, I can bet you that all of you will come up with a few names or a few faces in your head right now. Now, what were these favorite teachers able to do that other teachers were not able to do? I have talked to a lot of people, and what I have gathered is that the favorite teachers are the ones who were able to respond to what you needed. They were responsive to your requirements. They understood whether you understood or not. And that is how they were able to build the empathy and responsiveness to what they were trying to do. And that is what the challenge of one of the key challenges of our system is. It is not responsive to learners' needs. It is a one-size-fits-all system that is being thrust down everyone's throat. And the question is, how can we create a system that is responsive to learners' needs, which is aligned with what the industry is looking for, what the Industrial Revolution 4.0 is looking for. The second challenge, let me take you back to the school again. Now, how many times were we learning something in school where we said, I'm not sure if this is relevant to me in my life and in my work? Or how is what I'm learning is going to be important or relevant to what I'm going to do later in my life? Or even for the working people today, how many of you have had those instances going through a particular challenge in your work life and thinking, why didn't they teach me this in my school? Why didn't they teach me this in my college? So there's a wide gap. It's about relevance. There's a big gap between what we learn and what is required to be successful in personal and professional life. And this gap is getting wider and wider. And the question is, can we create an education system that is going to bridge that gap, and that's going to create education that is relevant to your personal life and to professional life? The third is issue of the massive reskilling and upskilling that we talked about just now. Reskilling and upskilling of workforce that is to be required in addressing the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0. Our current system, I must say, is not adequate in meeting that. What Professor Moni talked about was that Shobit is trying to make that change, trying to create those programs that can be taken to the agriculture, to the farmers, to help them with the initiative of doubling farmers' income by 2022. But the current system is not adequate in addressing that. If I were to sum up all these challenges, it is largely about that we are living in Industrial Revolution 4.0, but we are using the education system that was built for previous generation. We need an education system that delivers lifelong learning. When we talked about that 40% of the degrees will be obsolete in 5 years' time, I think that was a conservative estimate. More important that is that we need to continuously learn. We cannot be in the system where we learn for the first 21 or 23 years of a life, and then we deliver to the industry for the rest of the life. There is a continuous lifelong learning that is required, and we need to deliver a system that is not only personalized, not only relevant, it needs to be adequate to the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0, but at the same time, it needs to deliver what we are calling as lifelong learning. So it needs to deliver relevance, it needs to deliver responsiveness, and it needs to deliver lifelong learning for it to be valid for Industrial Revolution 4.0. Now, let's talk about what the future of education looks like. Let's try and envision, with all the technology that is at hand, with all the challenges that we understand the current education system has, how should the future of education be created that will address those challenges? Address the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0, address the vision of new education policy, address the whole objectives of creating an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Let's look at that. Now, future of education is not, and I must stress, is not about applying technology to the existing system of education. And unfortunately, most of the edtech companies today, that's what they're doing. Now they're offering a master's in computer science from University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign for $25,000. Fully online content. Now, in the name of accessibility and affordability, in the name of anytime, anywhere education, they have taken one of the key components of the learning experience, which is the teachers, out of the equation. We don't believe that education can take place just by putting content online. So it is not just about applying technology to the existing system of education. On the other hand, future of education is about fundamentally transforming education system, keeping in mind the challenges that I outlined earlier, and utilizing the new age technologies to deliver a personalized experience like never before. It is about fundamentally transforming education and utilizing new age technologies to deliver the future of education. Let me just give you an idea of what future of education could look like. Now, let's say if you are a mid-level marketing executive in an organization, and let's say you had a personal AI assistant, just like Siri or Alexa, or in our Azure system, we call it Ella. So let's say you have a personalized AI assistant, which on a daily basis or on a regular basis gives you suggestions on what the new learning blocks that you need to learn for you to make the next progression to whatever your next level of job would be. So it is something like Netflix. So in Netflix, it comes up with suggestions saying, Professor Moni, since you watch these movies, we believe that you will love to watch these other movies. So if you are a mid-level marketing executive, we know what your history of learning is. Based on that, we can come up with new learning blocks that will help you to progress your career. So it could come up with a few blocks in the name of, let's say, SEO, the search engine optimization, that these are the new blocks that you need to learn to enhance your ability to be a good marketing executive. What is it that you need to become a digital marketing director? You need to do these additional 20 blocks. And the AI is able to suggest to you that. And they're able to not only suggest those blocks that you need to do, but it's also able to bring together all the different types of learning resources that may be required for you to attend those blocks. It will also be able to suggest the teachers that are right for your kind of learning style. Now, that is for a mid-level executive in a large organization, right? Now, what if you're an entrepreneur? Let's say you want to open a coffee house. To open a coffee house, you need probably a few blocks of learning to become a good barista, the coffee making. You may need a few blocks of learning in finance. You may need a few blocks of learning in customer service, and that's it. So somebody should be able to pull together a micro certification with about 15 to 20 blocks that will help you to become an owner of a cafe. That's the kind of micro education that we're talking about. And we'll go into the details of how we break it down. So the future of education is about creating dynamic learning pathways offering the learners the choice of the teachers and the choice of learning resources. It is led by the learner himself or herself, but assisted by an AI. I'm just going to take a little pause here. It's about creating dynamic learning pathways and delivering lifelong learning. So every learner can decide what he wants to learn, and based on that, pick those learning blocks, pick the teachers, and pick the learning resources based on their own learning style, if that makes sense. So we're going to go into the details to make it more easier to understand. The second piece that I'm talking about is moving from assessment for learning to assessment of learning. Now, everybody knows that today the AI and the data analytics knows more about you than you know about yourself. So today, Google and Amazon probably know more about you than you know about yourself. And the question is, can we apply the same capabilities to the learning and the education process? Can we use data analytics and AI to continuously improve the learning experience of the learner? If you think about it, today our education system is, we do assessment of learning to check whether you have learned certain topic or not. Now that is important. But what is more important is assessment for learning. Can we assess how you are learning? What works for you? What kind of teaching style works for you? What kind of learning resources work for you? And based on that, AI can go out and suggest the right kind of learning resources, suggest the right kind of teachers for you. And that is what the future of education is. It makes it more personalized. It makes it more relevant for the learner. Now, we have talked about, for decades, we have talked about how education needs to become personalized. And this is the first time I have seen something that truly personalizes the learning experience in terms of the content, in terms of teachers, in terms of the learning resources. The third part of it is, there are certain things that you can do better when you're in a physical classroom. There are certain things that you can do better in a digital environment. Now, the question is, for the education of the future, can we combine the best of the two things to deliver a rich learning experience like never before? It is about giving the choice of learning resources, the choice of teachers for live classes. For example, you may want to learn certain learning blocks of marketing from a marketing director of Nestle rather than a professor in a university. Now, I'm not saying that the professors are not good teachers. Professors are great teachers for certain subjects. But there's certain subjects that you may want to learn, or certain topics or certain competencies you may want to learn from the practitioners. And that is what the future of education should be all about. You should be able to pick the blocks and pick the teachers that you want to learn from. And it should be supplemented by videos, texts, case studies, AR, VR-led material, etc., etc. This is what creates a rich and personalized learning experience like never before. And this is what we believe the future of education would bring. And lastly, the future of education is all about lifelong learning. We believe that in the next 5 to 10 years' time, a lot of these 2 years and 4 year degrees will be replaced by micro-certifications and micro-accreditations, which are in collaboration with employers and industry and are delivered on demand. I don't know if you know that today there are coding programs running in California for startups. These are 3-month programs. They charge $16,000 or $20,000 for that kind of a program. But if you're a coder, and if you've done that 3-month coding program from one of these schools, the startups today are preferring the output of these coding programs to Stanford graduates. So there is already industry that is responding to micro-certification, micro-accreditations. And that, we believe, is the future of education. because that delivers lifelong learning, which is absolutely required to address the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0. So we are talking about future of education, where education is responsive, education is relevant, and it is lifelong. It addresses the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0. It addresses the vision of new education policy, and it builds or helps build Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are talking about agri-tech courses for farmers. We are talking about reskilling and upskilling of marketing executives in large organizations. We are talking about creating the right programs and right micro-certifications for owners and startups, because entrepreneurship is going to be very, very important in addressing the needs of Industrial Revolution 4.0. We need to create more job creators rather than job seekers. We need to move from being job seekers to job creators, and that requires a certain level of competencies, certain level of lifelong learning, certain levels of capabilities that only a system that we are describing, the future of education, can deliver. The current education system is not adequate in addressing those capabilities. So moving on, let's come to the world's first intelligent microeducation system. So HUS has been designed to deliver the capabilities that we just talked about as what is required in the future of education. It has been designed to deliver and address the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0. It utilizes the new age technologies to deliver that capability. There are 4 unique features about HUS that I'm going to talk about, which brings to life the future of education that we earlier talked about. The whole idea is, how do you bring those capabilities to life? And HUS does that. The first is, it is a micronized education system that enables micro-certifications to be constructed by any employer or institution anywhere to suit a learner's skilling, upskilling, or qualification needs. It is a micronized education system that enables micro-certifications. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we mean by micronized education system, because that's very key to delivering the capabilities of education of the future that we're talking about. The second is ELA, the next generation symbiotic artificial intelligence. It continuously learns and self-orients itself around each learner in real time and radically personalizing the learning. One of the things that you will see very quickly is AI cannot operate on a traditional education system. It requires the education system to be broken down into micro education system for AI to work effectively. And I'll talk a little bit, because I'm going to spend about 10-15 minutes explaining what this micro education system is all about. The third is the unlocks and democratizes the knowledge contained in every individual on the planet. Now, I kind of hinted towards that, or alluded to the fact that now we could have teachers from non-teaching community, practitioners. For example, if you want to be a bookkeeping expert in a particular organization, maybe a person who has done bookkeeping in an organization for 10 years may be a better teacher than the accounting professor in a university. If you want to learn how to make a coffee, you may want to learn it from a barista in Italy or in Paris, rather than learning it from somebody else. And that capability should be there. You should have the choice of teachers to be able to do that. So it unlocks and democratizes the knowledge contained in each individual. One of the concepts that we talk about in HUS is that everybody can be a teacher. And this platform unlocks that capability, because it brings everybody onto the platform as a teacher potentially. And finally, it's about learning ledger on the blockchain. And one of the things that you will realize as we talk more about future of education is lifelong learning. And to enable lifelong learning, you need to have a history of the learning ledger of each learner. Because once you know what the history of learning for a learner is, then you're able to provide what additional capabilities they need, what capabilities they need to progress to the next level. For AI to be able to say that if you do these 10 new blocks, you become eligible for becoming this. If you do these 15 blocks, you become eligible to do this in an organization. So there are different learning pathways that can be created, but you need the learning history for us to be able to do that. There are 4 key components of our EduS platform. The first key component is AMM. It's a patented micro education system that is engineered for Industrial Revolution 4.0. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about that because that's a key, it's core, and it is critical to delivering what we're talking about. Second is the blockchain. It stores the indelible record of every learner's learning history. And this is where the data analytics or AI works from. It is very important that we store all the learners' data, how they learn, what is it that works for them, what doesn't work for them. And based on that, they are able to assign the right kind of teachers, assign the right kind of learning resources for them. And that is what we call as truly personalized, rich experience of learning for each individual. The third key component is the live learning streaming platform. Now, we built our own live streaming platform. And the reason for that is that the existing streaming platforms that are being used by the industry today, whether it is Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc., they were created for conference calls and webinars. They were not built for education. We have created this live streaming platform, which is architected for education. It has got the control that the teacher needs to manage a class. It has AI embedded into it, which tells you if the students are attentive or not, or which students are attentive, which students are not, at what point in time, so that you're able to manage the class better. It has collaboration tools built into it, content management tools built into it, document exchange tools built into it, etc. So this has been created for education, keeping education requirements in mind. And the fourth key component of our system is AI and UI, the artificial intelligence and user interface. Now, AI is very critical, as I have explained to you earlier. It adapts to the way the system works for each learner and creates a personalized, dynamic learning pathways, personalized choice of teachers, personalized choice of learning resources. Over the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the micro education system. So what we feel is that for us to be able to address the needs of Industrial Revolution 4.0, we need to deconstruct the whole process and the system of education. And what that means is what we have done is we have broken down the whole education system in what we are calling as micro education elements or blocks. Now, a block is a subtopic. It is the smallest micro education element that can be taught. And in our definition, that is anything that can be taught in 2, 4, 6, or 8 hours. Anything that takes longer, you need to break it down further. Now, what that does is it creates these independent blocks of knowledge. For each block, we define the learning outcomes and assessment. So we have separated the block out into content. What is it that the block is supposed to teach? What are the learning resources that are linked to that block? What kind of content are the teachers? That can be totally different. So you may have a block on, let's say, accounting. Now, different teachers may teach that block differently. They may bring different type of content to the table, different activities to deliver that block. So the idea there is that this is where the personalized choice comes in. This is where the student or the learner is able to decide for this particular block, what kind of teacher, what kind of learning resources do I need? Because we are able to separate content from context, from activities, from assessment. And this is where the whole personalization of the learning process takes place. And now we can bring all these different learning blocks together in multi-dimensional groupings. For example, let's say if you want to run a music academy, you may want to do an MBA, but as part of MBA, you may want to do a few learning blocks to learn how to appreciate music. You may want to do a few learning blocks in music appreciation, or you may want to do a few blocks in learning history of music. And you should be able to pull these together as part of your blocks, as part of your certification. So it allows the learner to go from one level to another as long as they have done the prerequisites without being determined or boxed into a certain structure, which is what the current education structure is. So instructional sequence is no longer one size fits all. If you're capable, you may be able to do advanced thermodynamics in 11th standard. If you're capable of doing that and you want to use that knowledge in doing something on your own as an entrepreneur. So the idea there is to give that independence to the learner to be able to use that. So in the micronized design, what we're saying is you have one system, but you have thousands of blocks which can be combined in thousands of permutations and combinations to create individual dynamic learning pathways for individuals. There are multiple entry and exit points. It caters to billions of micro certifications. For example, what I talked about earlier, as an owner of a cafe, you need probably a few blocks on becoming a barista, a few blocks on learning about the coffee beans, a few blocks on customer service, a few blocks on finance. Somebody should be able to pull together those 25 blocks for you to be able to run a cafe. You don't have to do a 1-year degree in something or 2 years degree in something. This system, what we call as micro education system with the micronized design, it enables that capability for entrepreneurs, similarly for the farmers, for agri-tech, combining GIS, GPS capabilities to be able to create smart climate farming. So that is the beauty of this micronized design, because it enables AI, it enables choices, it enables personalization, and it enables relevance to what you want to do. Finally, it's about micro certifications. So based on your learning history, now AI can go out and say that, let's say if you're a marketing executive and if you want to become a digital marketing director, you need to do these 25 blocks. And by the way, out of these 25 blocks, you have already done 15 blocks as part of your learning history. So if you do these 10 additional blocks, you will be eligible for a marketing director role in this organization. That is what the beauty of this micro education system is. It takes into account your learning history. It helps you with upskilling and reskilling based on what you require at that point in time, whether you're an executive in a large organization or you are an entrepreneur or you are a farmer. It helps you to find your requirements and deliver those capabilities on demand with the choice of teachers, choice of learning resources, choice of capabilities that you have at hand. So this is how we deliver micro certifications through micro education system. And finally, it's about the blockchain or the learning ledger. The way we are able to enable this capability is through storing all the data, your learning history, the way you learn and how you learn, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, because all of that is fed into the AI capability or AI engine for him to help you to create dynamic learning pathways, find the right choice of the teachers, find the right choice of the learning resources. So HUS solution is all about giving learners a new agile system of education. It knows who you are. It knows how you like to learn, and it adjusts the learning in real time to the knowledge or the skills that you need immediately. What is it that you need today for you to be able to do that? I gave you the example of Netflix, right? So AI is going to be able to come up with what you need to learn today, and then you make a call on that. The second is it gives employers, universities, schools, and education providers a unique micro-education architecture that gives them a capability to build and create and deliver micro-certifications. These micro-certifications are aligned with what the industry needs. They're in line with what the employers need. So if I'm an employer, right, now I can come up with the requirements for a particular job in terms of saying, okay, my job requirements are these 35 blocks. And now AI can go back and say, these are the blocks that you have already done. These are the additional blocks that you need to do for you to be eligible for that job. So micro certifications delivered on demand through micro education architecture. So this is what this product is all about. It is a decentralized mobile education system which intelligently adapts to each learner and delivers certifications and accreditations live on demand, which are aligned with the industry, which are created by employers in collaboration with the institutes. Now, this is just to give you a glimpse of what the system looks like. I've just taken one screenshot to have you get a feel for how it brings to life what we were just talking about. So if I'm in oil and gas industry, now Ella this morning came and told me that there is this new program on hazardous areas and awareness that's come out that I might be interested in. On the right-hand side, you see all the micro lessons, the videos, the text, the capabilities that may support that particular learning block. It'll also tell me what the assessment for that block is. It'll also tell me what the prerequisites for that block are. It'll give me the set of teachers that are available to teach that block. I can go and check each teacher in terms of my ability to learn from these teachers. What is my compatibility rating? It uses a similar technology to match you with the teacher, like what the Tinder uses for a dating app, based on the history of the teachers, based on the history of your learners. On the left-hand side, you can see all the learning history, the pathways, which helps you create dynamic pathways. It'll throw different pathways for you to get onto. It'll tell you what the relevant micro certifications for you are. But you make a call that this is the micro certification that I want to go after. This is the micro accreditation that I want to go after. What are the micro classes that form or consist or comprise that particular micro certification? And then there's a huge amount of collaboration tools that are available on the system. So there is collaboration, there is availability of choice of teachers, choice of learning resources, and Ella, the AI, which helps to suggest to you what your next learning path could be. So this is what HUS is all about. It is where the platform is the system, the teacher is everyone. We talked about how it democratizes the whole teacher, and the knowledge, unlocks the knowledge of every individual on this planet. The device is the classroom, the blockchain holds the journey, AI is your companion, where student own everything. It's a truly student-centered, personalized education system for the future. So the idea here is that HUS is the system that uses the new age technologies to deliver to the, or addresses the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0. So in conclusion, we are living in Industrial Revolution 4.0, but we are using the education system that was built for previous generation. We need a system that is more responsive. We need a system that's more relevant. We need a system that delivers lifelong learning for us in terms of micro certifications and micro accreditations. The future of education is about fundamentally transforming education system. It's not about just applying technology to the education system, to the current education system. It is about transforming the education system. And what we did and what we talked about earlier was this micro education system, breaking it down into the micro education elements and then reassembling it based on the personal preference and personal capabilities and personal needs, the dynamic learning pathways and the choice of teachers and the learning resources. So future of education is about addressing the needs of Industrial Revolution 4.0. And it is about building Atmanirbhar Bharat. And EduS, as we saw, it addresses those challenges. It is intelligent. It's got the AI capability that works for each learner. It is a micro education system that creates dynamic learning pathways based on its architecture. And it delivers what we call as the future of education. So I'm going to just stop here and be open for any questions that people may have. I think I've covered a lot of stuff around the challenges, the future of education, and how EduS delivers that or brings it to life. So I'm going to take a pause and wait for Professor Moni to coordinate the questions from based on the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lalit Gupta. You can, let us have, thank you very much for your very innovative, impressive, and thought-provoking address on future of education. And you said it that it is education is in crisis. It's not fit for the future, but it is only the micro education, micro certification is the fit for the future. Okay, now let us, go through some of the comments. The Professor Lalit, you mentioned about computer course at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I did not understand the connect between your talk today and this course.
Okay, the point that I was trying, so the point that I was trying to highlight was that there are a lot of the edtech companies today, they are simply putting content online. And the future of education is more than just applying technology to what the current education system is. It's not about just putting content online, because these kind of online content from based on the feedback, the dropout rates is 90 to 95%. So the idea is that I think teacher is extremely important, whereas a lot of these online programs, they have taken teacher out of the equation, which we believe is probably not the right way to go when we talk about the future of education.
Okay, is it Mr. Manish? Is there any other? Mr. Vikash Agarwal. Maybe if you could highlight how is the difference? How is this different from Udemy and Coursera?
So this is basically the similar thing. I think Udemy and Coursera, they're doing a wonderful job of making the education more affordable and more accessible and available anytime, anywhere to all the students globally, right? So from that perspective, I think they're doing a great job. However, what they're doing in our view, or what they're missing in this whole process, is the ability to connect with the live teachers. So just putting content online is not going to be enough for the future. So we believe the future belongs to micro certifications and micro accreditations deliver live on demand, and also to be able to unlock the potential of all the teachers globally for us to be able to take care of that. So that's where I believe that the AI works better, right? Where once you are able to break it down into micro education elements and then reassemble it into micro certification, that gives a lot more flexibility and personalization for each learner.
Thank you. And Mr. Mahantesh Patil, artificial intelligence is overriding human intelligence, not good in all areas.
So one of the things that I think all of us will have to come to terms with is that data analytics and AI is here to stay, whether we like it or not, right? So we'll have to adapt to it. Now, AI and data analytics is transforming almost every industry sector. Whether it is telco or finance or health or agriculture. I mean, we've talked about all the different sectors, and education is another sector I think which will be hugely transformed by AI in terms of the capabilities. Because today, if you look at it, AI knows more about you than you know about yourself. Amazon and Google, they are able to track you down based on what you're trying to do. You do a search about Goa on Google, and for the next 3 days, you will be bombarded with advertisements about travel to Goa, about the hotels in Goa, about the tourism in Goa, about the clubs in Goa, about the restaurants in Goa, right? So AI is a capability that needs to be positively applied to education system, and we need to figure out how instead of coming in the way, it is something that is going to be able to assist in what we are trying to do, right? Now, a lot of the challenges when we talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0 or the disruption is because of the technology advancements in terms of the industry models that are being disrupted. Now, the question is, I get reminded of this old Bollywood Hindi song, "Tumhi ne dard diya, tumhi dawa dena." So technology is the cause of this disruption. And I think we have to look to technology to address some of these ills as well. And I think AI and data analytics can help us in a big way in creating a very personalized, very dynamic, and very relevant educational and learning experience for the lifelong learning that is required for us to address the challenges of Industrial Revolution 4.0.
Mr. Manish, any other? Okay. Okay, he is responding. How to prepare learners to get adopted first to this feature?
So one of the things,
from Mr. Patil.
yeah. So one of the things about the technologies is that it needs to be intuitive. It needs to be responsive to what you need, rather than you having to learn how to use the technology, right? There are so many applications that are released on a daily basis, and most of them you have to be able to just start using it, right? So similarly, in this case, we don't believe that there is any preparation that's going to be required for the users to start using this. We are hoping to, or we are targeting to launch this platform sometime first or second quarter of this year, and and we're going to be starting with some very critical sectors. We are working with Professor Moni and Shobit University to create some micro certifications in the area of agri-tech, which is extremely important in terms of the overall objective of doubling farmers' income by 2022. And there's a whole lot of content that is already there and has been created. It's a question of creating the right way and means to get to the right people, and that is what this platform is going to be able to do. It allows the universities and institutes as well as learners to crowdsource for content, crowdsource for faculty, crowdsource for teachers, and crowdsource for learners. In fact, what we are also looking at is how some of these agri-tech programs or the micro certifications that Professor Moni is taking a lead in for Shobit University, they're going to be relevant globally. How can we take it to Africa, for example? How can we take it to other parts of Asia? So when we talk about agri-tech or utilization of technology in agriculture, it is something that's relevant to everyone. And the whole idea here is that can we make this education process truly global? So, for example, the learners in India, can they learn from a faculty in Australia or UK? And in the same token, can the faculty in India can teach the students in other parts of the world? So the whole idea of a platform like this is to globalize the education process. and create specialization in specific areas, and then take it to other regions and other continents. Yeah.
Mr. Manish, any other queries?
No, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Lalit Gupta, for your very informative, thought-provoking, and very innovative address on entrepreneurship and skill development AI design pathways. And I'm very happy that we have received very important questions from the participants, and you also addressed very effectively. The first participant asked about that how relevant your topic today with respect to what you commented on from University of Illinois at Urbana campaign. Then another participant talked about, can you compare your talk with respect to what is being available from Coursera and Udemy? And then another participant, Mr. Patil, talked about that AI is overriding human intelligence and so on and so forth. And your response is very superb and very, it responded very well. And I thank all the participants who have responded with the queries, with respect to this address. That shows that the importance of this address. Now, let me summarize for the benefit of all the participants who have participated in this very important international webinar series on open source digital technologies towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. You talked about that education is in crisis, is not fit for future, and microeducation is the future of education. And you have argued for more than 45 minutes in your address very effectively by giving examples and also your thought process and what is available on the ground level, and and you emphatically suggested that it is it's a platform, it's a digital platform, and which is a system, and this is the teacher is everyone, and the device is the classroom, the blockchain is the journey, and AI is the companion, and live streaming takes you all along, and this is lifelong learning process. And I remember that when I was asked to address in 2015, January on 9th, to a conference organized by the associations associated with CBSE affiliated schools. I was addressing to about 450 principals of these colleges, schools, CBSE schools schools affiliated to CBSE education. Their agenda was to prepare a draft guidelines for preparing the national education policy, and that time it is 2015. And exactly I addressed, I will also send you the paper which was addressed by me, that how to bring in smart teacher and smart education, and how to bring out the potential and kinetic energy of both the teacher and a student through technology. It's a smart education, and and what is being available is a tip of iceberg, and it is only just to 5 to 10%. 90% is 90 to 90% is below the below the surface of the water. It has to come out. So it is the we have to bring the energy out of both the teacher and the student. That's why I titled on that talk is that how to develop smart teacher and smart student, which will lead to smart education based on education ecosystem. I also quoted one chapter which talks about 10 couplets from poet from Tamil, is called Saint Thiruvalluvar. He talks about 10 couplets about education. It's an education system. What is the importance of education? What will be the impact of non-education? And what is the importance of asking questions? And how to use wisdom? I have in that paper, I addressed that we have to have an education ecosystem. And that ecosystem should make the students learned, not educated. And I'm very happy that I was also told when the new education policy came, many people told me that what Professor Moni, what you have talked about, many of the points are being considered have been considered. I talked at that time that anybody who is a BSc mathematics student who takes an 1-year teacher training can become a math teacher. But in this country, we don't have a teacher training institute for mathematics. Teacher training institute to teach physics. Physics teacher is a lifelong learning student in what development is taking place in physics. The physics teacher has to be from the education provider, from the teacher training institute, which has to teach them physics lifelong, mathematics lifelong, chemistry lifelong, history lifelong, English lifelong, local languages lifelong. So we have to have an umpteen number of teacher training institute in individual area to make the student understand the subject, learn the subject. This is what I argued at that time. And investor, after that, when I looked into it, there are institutes for mathematics training in Western countries. So this micro education also talks about that AI based, blockchain based, live streaming based digital education platform, micro certification, micro education platform brings in that type of concept. We need it not only for each subject wise. We have to look into it. We have to micronized education system. And you very nicely brought it very effectively that your platform is the system, and everyone becomes the teacher, and your classroom is device, and your journey is blockchain, and your companion is artificial intelligence, and your lifelong is live streaming. It is very effectively you brought it out. And then also that you very nicely said it, this is an open source era, and you also given a timeline for 10 years for India to change the system, to bring in smart teachers and smart students, to also to have an education ecosystem, even digital governance. I'm very happy that on 21st November, in the same webinar series, the former Secretary to Government of India, the Department of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Shri Satyanarayana, former IAS officer, talked about there has to be an ecosystem architecture for digital transformation. It is not an individual item. We have to see the forest rather than looking for an tree, and that is an important system which you talked about it. Then you also said it that education is in crisis, not fit for future. You said it's a very alarming figure which you talked about it in the challenges. There are 575 million children in the school, in 400 million in the school, who are not learning. Then you talked about there are about 617 million students who have difficulties in understanding mathematics. If they have difficulty in understanding mathematics, then they will have a problem in understanding physics. Then they will have a problem in understanding physics, chemistry, and biology, botany, botany and zoology. And then you also said it that there are about 575 million citizens. They need to be, trained in the era of, industrial revolution, which is taking place that. And then you also said it that the 40% of the degrees are going to be obsolete in the near future. This it's an alarming, statistics which you put it. Hope that all the relevant institutions and the policymakers in India take note of it. National Education Policy 2020 is a very important and path-breaking, education policy to bring the future citizens of this country. And I'm very happy in that line that today's talk by Mr. Lalit Gupta as an NRI based in Malaysia. He co-founded and a technology startup, IDAS, with very important, far-reaching technology based, and he also, put it in the title. It is the world's first intelligent micro education system on demand. On demand, it is not static; it is dynamic, and that too, it is a AI based, blockchain based, and live streaming based. What else is necessary? And then also, very nicely said it that even though I wanted purposefully that, India is an agrarian economy. You do anything, doesn't matter. But the thing is that please look into agricultural system. If you change if you transform the agricultural sector in the country, then India is a well-developed nation. That is more important. And agri-tech, education tech, and National Education Policy 2020 is how important. And to realize the objective and development of these sectors, this agri-tech and education tech is very important combined with the ideas given in National Education Policy 2020. It is more important. He said it very nicely that the present day education system is not responsive, is not responding, it's not relevant, is not adequate, and is not lifelong learning. It is a it stops various places that. And so in view of the industrial revolution 4.0, education system has to be 5.0. Is not even 4.0. And you talked about future of education, and also that importance of micro education, micro certification, dynamic learning pathways, and these it is not for assessment for learning, it is assessment of learning. And you also gave an example that how Google and Amazon know about you rather than you know about yourself. That's a very important one, and it is a it's a choice of learning, lifelong learning, and and the unique features which you talked about it, micronized education system, micro certification. You talked about four components of the features of four components of your product, udas.io, and it is a micronized education system. It is a next generation symbiotic AI based system, Ella, and a platform that unlocks and democratizes unique knowledge that contained with everybody. This is more appealing to me. This in 2016 I talked about how to bring out the potential and kinetic energy of individual, which is still in the abdomen of everybody. It has to come out, and it is a tip of the iceberg, and hope that this platform brings out that potential and kinetic energy of individual. And it is a distributed learning ledger through use of blockchain, and it is a patented technology, and and I'm very happy that you are able to galvanize the participants with respect to micronized education system or micro education system. For example, I will give you on ground that India's 60% of the food production comes from 40%. The 40% of the food production comes from 60% of the rainfed area, and there is no technology available for rainfed area. And most of the small and marginal poor farmers, they are poor, stay in rainfed area, not in irrigated area. Sorry. And for irrigated agriculture system has got all the technology through agricultural research, but the rainfed area has got only one method, that is called watershed method. And finally, they are also talking about micro watershed. Don't think about river basin. Don't think about big macro level watershed and so on and so forth. You talk about micro watershed. So your micro education system for people who work in industry, are also that the students who are slow learner, or the people who would like to bring out potential energy, kinetic energy. That micronization is more important, and that is it's very important. And you said it, that the solution which is being provided by the present education system, this one size fit for all, is not going to be fit for everybody, and this has to be changed. And for me, you made a call, you have given a call, and those who are responsible in for the education system in the country have to address the various points which you talked about it. And from the university, we are conscious about the needs, and that's the reason only that we are trying to bring in relevant education to the people, the youths of the from the rural India, through technology. And the university has set up 4 centers of excellence: Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, to skill and upskill the agriculture science graduates and the rural youths to adopt technology-based agricultural farming system. Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, to have more effective agricultural manner, to bring in, digitalized agricultural, value chain system for about 400 agriculture commodities. Then, Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Application to promote informatics, which is standards based, in e-governance application, which are also being now, challenged by Industry 4.0 technologies. We have about 3,500 urban clusters of SMEs, about 18,000, rural clusters of SMEs, and you have lakhs and lakhs of khadi and village industries, and everybody have to be, trained, and you cannot, go to them, and they have to be connected in the digital world. They have to seize the opportunities, and we have to provide the opportunities for their innovations, for their undertake open innovations and value creation networks. It is very important. And fourth is that Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications. So this Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology is the only university in the country have got 4 these centers of excellence to bring in technology-based education for development at the grassroots level. One is on agricultural informatics, another one is on informatics and e-governance. So these 2 webinar series, first one webinar series, national webinar series on doubling the farmer's income by 2022, or the initiative of Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Governance Studies and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies. And then international webinar series on open source digital technology towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, is the initiative of Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Application, Center for Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications. And these are all the vision of the Honorable Chancellor of the Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, deemed to be university, and also Soviet University, Gango, Saharanpur district, Uttar Pradesh. We thank the guest speaker today, Mr. Lalit Gupta, for your very innovative address to the audience on the topic entrepreneurship and skill development, AI design pathways. And your address has been well received, which we have noticed in the form of the queries which have been asked by the participants, and you also answered. We wish to have you always closely associated with the university for our lifelong journey. Thank you very much. And with this, I would like to close the seminar. And if you would like to have any, quick comment, Mr. Lalit Gupta.
No, thank you very much, Professor Moni. It has been a pleasure, and we are privileged to be associated with Soviet University and yourself, and we look forward to do more in this direction. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. We close the seminar, and we thank all the participants and Mr. Lalit Gupta, the speaker. And for any research inquiries, please contact Professor Moni Madaswamy, Professor Emeritus and Chairman of the Center for Informatics Development Solutions and Applications and Center for, Industry 4.0 Technology Studies and Applications, former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, New Delhi, and my email address is moni@sovietuniversity.ac.in. And thanks for your participation. We close the seminar, leave studio. Thank you.